Welcome to Rockin After Midnight, where the music, the memories, and the legends live on. Tonight we're talking about one of the most important decisions in heavy metal history. One band, one firing, and two future giants of metal. Before Metallica became one of the biggest bands in the world, they were just four young musicians trying to build something in the underground metal scene. One of those musicians was Dave Mustaine, a talented guitarist, a gifted songwriter, and a major part of Metallica's earliest days. But talent wasn't the problem. The problem was everything else. As Metallica grew, so did the tension inside the band. By many accounts, Mustaine's drinking, behavior, and conflicts with other band members were becoming increasingly difficult to manage. Nobody questioned his ability. Nobody questioned his contribution. But eventually the situation reached a breaking point. And in 1983, Metallica made a decision that would change metal forever. Dave Mustaine was fired. No dramatic press conference, no public spectacle, just a young musician suddenly finding himself on the outside looking in. The story has become part of metal mythology. Dave Mustaine was put on a bus and sent home. For many people, that would have been the end of the dream, the end of the band, the end of the story. But for Dave Mustaine, it was only the beginning. Years later, Mustaine would openly discuss how deeply that moment affected him. Not because he stopped making music, but because he had to watch Metallica become enormous. Every album, every arena, every success, a reminder of what might have been. Most musicians never recover from something like that. Dave Mustaine did something different. He decided to build his own band. Not a copy of Metallica, not a tribute, not a side project, a rival. That band was Megadeth. And suddenly, the firing that should have ended a career created another one. Metallica became one of the biggest bands in music history. Megadeth became one of the most respected bands in heavy metal, and fans have debated the story for decades. What if Dave had stayed? Would Metallica have sounded different? Would Megadeth ever have existed? Would metal history have taken a completely different path? We'll never know. But we do know this. One decision created two legendary bands. The story of Dave Mustaine isn't really about revenge, it's about resilience. It's about taking disappointment, taking failure, taking rejection, and turning it into fuel. That is why this story still matters, not just to metal fans, but to anyone who has ever been told they weren't wanted. Because sometimes the setback becomes the beginning, and sometimes the thing that feels like the end becomes the thing that changes your life. And that's why the firing of Dave Mustaine remains one of the most important moments in rock and metal history, because it didn't create one legendary band, it created two. Thanks for watching Rockin After Midnight. I'm Sloane. Keep the rock alive, and I'll see you after midnight.